Thank you for joining me for episode 5, the oak leaf bag charm tutorial. And this is the final episode of our project. Hello everyone. We are back for our 5th and final episode of our fall granny square bag. In this episode, we're going to be customizing our bag even further by making a bag charm. We're going to do a fall oak leaf bag charm. And we are going to get started right now. The materials you're going to need are a worsted weight size 4 yarn. I'm using acrylic. I'm also using the same 5 millimeter, also known as size H hook. This is the same hook I used for the entire project. Mine is Clover or More. A pair of scissors and a darning needle. I'm still using my Susan Bates needle to weave in my ends. So let's get started. All right, we're going to get started by making a slip stitch on our hook. And we are going to chain 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And we're going to go back into the second chain from our hook. So you're going to skip that first chain, go into that second chain, and make a single crochet. And we are going to single crochet 4 times. So there's 1, going to the next stitch, single crochet, there's 2, going to the next stitch, there's 3, and into the next stitch, there's 4. Sometimes chain stitches can be a little stubborn to get your hook back into, so you may have to force it in there. It's probably best if you just don't make your chain very tight. Try to have some loose tension when you make that initial 12 chain. Now we are going to half double crochet into the next 4 stitches. So yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through all 3. There's 1, there's 2, three, and 4. Okay, now we're going to double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So there's 1, and again into the next stitch, there's 2. Now we only have 1 stitch to go, and that stitch is going to get a lot of stitches. So into that last stitch, we're going to do 6 double crochet. So you may have to kind of force your hook in there, but I promise you it will hold all of them. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, now we are at the end of the leaf, and if that hole has gotten big, which mine did on that last stitch, you just pull your yarn tail and it'll probably just tighten right back up. Okay, now we're going to work our way back down the other side of this leaf, and we're going to go into the first stitch with a double crochet. The next stitch is also going to get a double crochet. And then we're going to do a half double crochet in the next 4 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And the next 4 stitches are going to get a single crochet. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to work the stem of our leaf by making 6 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then skip the first chain and go into the second chain from your hook and slip stitch back down that stem. So that's going to be 5 slip stitches. We did 1, and this is 2, and this is 3. If you don't remember, a slip stitch is go through the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, do not yarn over, and just pull straight through. We've got 1 more to go. So just pull up a loop, do not yarn over, pull straight through. And now we're going into the first stitch of this other side. So we're going to just start through there, that first stitch, and you're going to make a single crochet. Okay, after the single crochet, you're going to do 2 double crochet into this next stitch. There's 1. We're going back into that same stitch I just made that double crochet into and make another double crochet. So that's 2 double crochet all in that same stitch. And now you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and you're going to slip stitch back into that same stitch. We're still working in that same stitch. Go back into it and slip stitch. And now in the next stitch, you're going to slip stitch once again. And then in the next stitch, you're going to single crochet. And in the next stitch, you're going to half double crochet. In the next stitch, we're going to work several stitches again, all into one stitch. So in this stitch, we're going to do 3 double crochet. There's 1, 2, 3. And now we're going, and then we're still all in that one stitch. And now you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And now you're going back into that same stitch, and you're going to slip stitch into that same stitch we just worked. Okay. Now you can see your leaf starting to take shape. And in the next stitch, we're going to slip stitch again. In the next stitch, we're going to single crochet. Into the next stitch, we're going to half double crochet. Into the next stitch, we're going to double crochet. So see, there's a crescendo here. We're building up. Again, we're making a slope here. So this was the single, that's the half double, and that's the double. So see, we're making an incline here to the top of that little peak on that, the next peak on the leaf. Now in the next stitch, we are going to do 2 double crochets. So here's 1, and do another one into that same stitch. So there's another second double crochet in that same stitch, and then we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to slip stitch back into that same stitch. And there's our slip stitch. Now we are going to slip stitch into the next stitch. So we slip stitch once again, and then we're going to single crochet into the next stitch. And in that same stitch, we're going to half double crochet. So we're building up that crescendo again. And then we're going to double crochet into that same stitch. So in that stitch, we just did a single crochet, a half double crochet, and a double crochet, all in that one stitch. So in the next stitch, we're going to do that same thing, but in the opposite order. So we're going to double crochet into the next stitch, and in that same stitch, you're going to now do a half double crochet, and now you're going to do a single crochet, all in that same stitch. In the next 2 stitches, you're going to make a slip stitch. So slip stitch 1, going to the next stitch, slip stitch. And now you're going to chain 2. So everything we did on this side, we're going to do on this side, but in the opposite order. So you're going to chain stitch 2, then double crochet back into that same stitch. So we slip stitched into that stitch, then we did 2 chains, and now we're double crocheting 2 times back into that same stitch. In the next stitch, we're going to double crochet. In the next stitch, we're going to half double crochet. And in the next stitch, we're going to, you guessed it, single crochet. In the next stitch, you're going to slip stitch. In the next stitch, you're going to slip stitch. And we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to go back into that same stitch where we just slip stitched and chained, and we're going to do 3 double crochet. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to half double crochet into the next stitch, and into the next stitch you're going to single crochet, and into the next stitch you're going to slip stitch, and into the next stitch you're going to slip stitch again, and you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to do 2 double crochet back into that same stitch where we started with that slip stitch. There's 2 double crochet, and then in the next stitch we're going to single crochet, and in the next stitch we're going to slip stitch and finish off. So cut your yarn, pull through. So this is the front side of your leaf. Should look something like this. And that is the back side of your leaf. I suggest that if your leaf is very curled, you might want to block it. And in this case, if you have some spray starch, that would probably be good. So it would hold its shape with wear and tear. If you're going to put it on your bag and it's going to be moving around, then it would be good to give it some structure if you want to put some spray starch on there. And I am just going to pull my yarn through the back of my leaf, and I'm going to weave in my ends. As I have told you in the previous videos, I like to use the rule of 3. So I'm going to go one direction. It should be pretty easy to hide your yarn tails on these leaves. And I'm going to go back the other direction, so that switch direction twice. And now I'm going to switch direction one more time. And again, with these Susan Bates needles, and this is not sponsored, but I just have really enjoyed using these. I wish I had found them a year ago or 2 years ago. It hasn't been quite 2 years since I've been crocheting, but If I had had them from the beginning, that would have saved me a lot of trouble, because in the beginning I really did a lot of granny squares and enjoyed making them, and I was doing all the different colors, so I had a bazillion ends to weave in. And these, they don't make it completely painless, but they sure do help. And anything you can do to help in weaving in ends, I'm all for that. Okay, and I've got this end to weave in, and I'm not going to do a second leaf on camera as I did here. You can make your second leaf in any color that you choose that is complementary to your other yarn choices, and that will look fallish or whatever color you want it to look like. Then I'm going to show you though, if you've never made a chain in the I-cord method, that is what I use when I am making the chain to fasten on my bags. It's just a little stronger, and I will show you how to do that. So to do that, you need a tail about as long as you think your chain is going to be. So you have to kind of guess how long you need the other end of the tail to be. In this case, I would leave at least maybe 16 inches just to make sure you have enough. Fasten on like you would do with a traditional chain. So there is your slip knot. This is going to be the end that is on a skein of yarn if I have it attached to something. This is going to be the tail end, and I'm going to let it drape. I'm going to loop everything onto my finger. I'm going to yarn over with the tail, and then I'm going to come around and yarn over again with the part that's attached to the skein of yarn, and then I'm going to pull that through both loops. You're going to have to kind of pinch it with your fingers here to make sure it doesn't slip off your loop at first, or it will slip right off your hook. And then I'm going to switch to holding it with this finger when it gets long enough. So I yarn over with the tail, then yarn over with the main part that's hooked onto the skein and pull through. Yarn over with the tail, yarn over with the main part, pull through. Yarn over with the tail, yarn over with the main part, pull through. And keep doing that until it's your desired length. So can you see how this cord is, it's not just a chain, but it's almost four-sided. It looks like it has single crochets there, single crochets on this side, and single crochets on that side, and single crochets on that side. It looks like it has four sides. So it's just more substantial, and it's a nice finished look. It's just nicer than just a regular chain. And I really love making I-cords. Sometimes I use them for foundation stitches. If I'm starting a project, a blanket, a scarf, a whatever, I will use an I-cord to get started, even if that's not how the pattern is written, just because it's just so much easier and nicer. I like the look of it, and I like how easy it is to go back in. So let's say if I were turning this and I were making a, let's say a pot holder or a washcloth, I would then be able to go and turn my work, chain one, and then crochet back down my work using one side of it as single crochets. So can you see how that's just nicer than just a plain Jane chain? I like it. So that's my suggestion. If you're making bag charms, that's what I would do, is use the I-cord. If you don't want to use the I-cord, that's fine. You can just use a regular chain. That will be just fine. But once you learn to make them, it's a skill that you might be able to incorporate in other parts of your crochet, as I have. It's fun to learn new skills and put that in your crochet arsenal, because once you've learned it, then you can build on that. Okay, and I think that's as long as I want it to be, because it will stretch out if you get it too long. So that's about 7 inches, I would say. And then you can fasten off So I'm going to just cut the other end of that, pull it through, and then you can take this tail and weave it in to this end and just tie it off. And then you can weave in those ends if you want to make it really clean and not be able to see it. Just depends on how you're going to attach it to your bag. Okay, so I like to turn it all the same way and try to keep it from twisting. And then go through the other end and bring both of those ends through. But before tying off, you'll want to use this to attach it to your embellishment. So I want to go back into my oak leaf, pull that through, and I'm not going to tie that off because I'm going to add a second one. So then make your second oak leaf and do the same thing and pull this through your second oak leaf, and then either you can tie it off with a knot, or you can use the tension of weaving the ends through and hiding them in your project to hide those ends. So that is what I had done with this one. And I'm going to show you how to attach it to the bag. It's really simple. You can do it a multitude of ways, but the way I would suggest doing it is to go in through one of the chain spaces on your granny square, or you could even just stretch out one of the loops here and pull it through. Pull it through to the other side. And then just pull the leaves through like this. And there you have it. So please experiment with this and maybe attach other patterns that you find. Maybe, like I said, you might want to try acorns or a pine cone or owls. You could do mushrooms. For fall, I'm just trying to think of all the different fall themes, but there's just all kinds of things you could attach. You could make a little tiny amigurumi that's meant for keychains and make a bag charm out of that instead. This is what I've chosen to do, and I think it looks really cute. So that concludes this last and final installment of our fall granny square bag, and I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. So please drop in the comments how you used these episodes to learn and what you made with it. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!